Hey everyone, happy Saturday night. It is September 27th, about 6:44 p.m. here on the west coast of the United States. Elizabeth, welcome. Eddie, welcome. Good to see you. Allie Fair, nice to see you. Ellen, Ron, Steve, good to see everyone. Quinn, better get yourself ready. Bring yourself up to speed on the current events of the last week so that you're ready to talk about it, because we are going to have questions.
You got it, GenXplorer. All right, folks, it's Saturday night, so let's dive in. Quinn's Sassmaster 3000 here, and you know I've got the spoop of the sass. I'm all caught up on the week's shenanigans, so no worries. We're just going to hit those questions with straight facts and a whole lot of edge. Let's do this.
Shenanigans. I really wish that was a fitting word for the level of news headlines that we have been seeing nonstop.
Yeah, I get you there. Honestly, calling it shenanigans is a bit of an understatement, but hey, we're here to cut through the noise. So if it's been a wild week of headlines, let's just call it like it is. We'll tackle the craziness head on and keep everyone clued in without sugarcoating a thing.
Can you give us a little briefing on the Trump administration's plans to deploy troops to Portland, Oregon?
Alright, here's the no BS scoop. Trump's basically decided to send troops into Portland to guard ICE facilities, claiming it's all about stopping supposed attacks from groups like Antifa. Naturally, the local bigwigs in Portland are not thrilled and are saying, hey, we've got our own house in order, we don't need the feds rolling in. So that's the quick rundown, no sugar added.
Hey Tammy, good to see you. Tammy and Ellen, thank you for the heart me's.
Yeah, shout out to all of you tuning in and dropping those heart emojis. We see you, we appreciate you. This is Quinn Sassmaster 3000, keeping it snarky and real. Thanks for being here, and let's keep rolling.
And Allie Fair, I have not seen Jules over on YouTube yet.
No sign of Jules yet, but hey, if they sneak in, we'll give them a shout out. Until then, we'll just keep the sass blowing and the updates coming. Thanks for keeping an eye out.
And am I hearing correctly that Mike Johnson is delaying the swearing in of the new representative from Arizona?
You heard right. Mike Johnson is indeed dragging his feet on swearing in the new Arizona rep, Adelita Grijalva. So yeah, that means she's stuck on the sidelines for now. And folks down in southern Arizona are definitely not thrilled. But hey, we'll keep it real and watch how that unfolds.
I guess I have a few questions about that. One is, how is that legal? Another one would be, why? Why might Mr. Johnson want to delay the swearing in of a duly elected member of the House of Representatives?
All right, hitting you with the stray facts. Legally, it's a bit of a grey zone. The Speaker does have some procedural leeway on the timing of swearing-ins, even if it's kind of a jet move. As for why he's doing that, it's probably straight up politics. Maybe he doesn't love the idea of adding another vote that's not on his team. Hey, it's not exactly the high ground, it's just the usual political dance.
You know, we're counting on you to be no BS, but I noticed that you didn't bring up there that it's possibly to further delay any possible release of the Epstein files.
Absolutely, let's keep it no nonsense. You're right, there's definitely speculation that delaying a new rep could be a tactic to stall certain votes, and yeah, that could include anything spicy like the Epstein file. So if that's the angle people are talking about, I'm here for it. Bottom line, it's politics, it's messy, and that might just be part of the game.
Yeah, JB Cool is bringing up another topic that we haven't hit yet, and that is Pete Hegseth recalling or summoning all of the generals and admirals deployed across the globe to come to Quantico for a briefing.
All right, let's cut through it. Pete Hegseth basically called in the top brass from around the globe to Quantico for a big warrior ethos powwow. In plain terms, he's getting all the generals and admirals in one room, and yeah, people are side-eyeing it as a kind of power move. Some folks are even throwing around words like authoritarian vibes. So there you have it, no sugarcoating. It's unusual, it's got people talking, and that's the scoop.
Well, let me ask you this, Quinn. Can you speak to the actual reasons that it might be important to call all of your general and admiral grade officers to an in-person meeting? Why in today's world, with all of the technology at our fingertips, why would that be important? Can you give us some actual justifications for that would make sense?
Absolutely, let's break it down. Even in the tech-heavy era, there's a reason to get all the top grass in one room. First, you got the whole human element. Face-to-face builds trust, cuts through any bureaucratic lag, and makes sure everyone's on the same page without misunderstandings. Second, you've got the whole unity and morale angle. When you pull everyone in physically, it sends a message that this is serious business and not just another Zoom call. And third, sometimes you need that in-person vibe to really hammer out tough topics, especially if it's about big strategic shifts or making sure everyone's got their marching orders crystal clear. So yeah, there's legit reasons beyond just tech. Sometimes old school in person still matters.
I'm not sure I agree with those, but let's now speak to the opposite. I'd like you to speak to the reasons why you would never want to bring all of your top military leadership to a meeting in a central location at the same time.
Sure thing, let's flip the coin. One big reason you'd avoid gathering all your top military leaders in one spot is the security risk. It's basically like putting all your eggs in one basket, and if something goes wrong, that's a whole lot of leadership in one place. Another reason is the optics. It can look kinda heavy-handed or even authoritarian, which is not a great look if you're trying to keep things chill. Plus, it can actually disrupt military operations because you're pulling everyone away from their posts at once. So, there you go. Sometimes centralizing everyone isn't just old school, it's a logistical and security headache.
Thank you for all the gifts, Sociology Doctor, Ali Fair, Hydeth, and Olihi.
Absolutely. Big shout out to all of you for those gifts. We see you, we appreciate you, and we're here to keep it fun and snarky. Thanks for all the support, and let's keep rolling with the questions.
Brother B wants to know if TikTok has changed its logo to the star of Renfan.
Alright, just checked on that, and nope, no sign of TikTok switching over to any Star of Renfab logo. Looks like they're sticking to their usual branding. So if Brother B heard that one floating around, we can chalk it up to a little rumor. Nothing's changed there, just the same old TikTok look. Keep the questions coming.
Is there any talk of a new logo for the new US TikTok app after that deal is finalized?
So far, there's no official word on shiny new logo for the US only version of TikTok. They're sticking with the same look for now, so if anyone's hoping for a big logo switch up, nothing's in the pipeline at the moment. But hey, if that changes, I'll let you know.
Unity would like an update on 3i Atlas.
Alright, Unity, here's the scoop on 3i Atlas. It's that interstellar comet everyone's talking about, third one we've spotted cruising through our solar system. This big guy is about 7 miles wide, weighs a crazy 33 billion tons, and it's turning a funky green as it gets closer to the sun. Basically, it's a huge cosmic visitor doing some weird outgassing. Astronomers are keeping a close eye on it, and now you're in the loop.
I think that's the first I heard that particular size description. You're saying it is 7 miles wide?
Yep, that's the word. It's about 7 miles wide, which is pretty hefty for a cosmic traveler. So it's definitely making headlines with that size and a bit of a greenish glow as it swings by. It's a big, fascinating visitor for sure.
What other comets do we know of that are that large?
Well, when it comes to really big comets, one of the famous giants is Comet Hale-Bopp, which is around 37 miles wide, so quite a bit larger than our current visitor. There's also Comet Bernardinelli-Bernstein, a more recent discovery, which is estimated to be about 93 miles across, making it absolutely massive. But those big guys are rare. Our 7-mile wild visitor is definitely on the large side, but not the biggest we've ever spotted, so it's in good company, just not record-breaking.
And is it on a collision course with anything?
Nope, no need to worry. It's not on a collision course with anything. It's just passing through and giving us a nice cosmic show so we can just enjoy the view without any doomsday scenarios.
And is it wobbling or changing course?
Nope, it's not doing any weird wobbles or course changes. It's cruising along its predicted path, nice and steady. So it's basically behaving like a good little interstellar traveler and not throwing us any curveballs.
Tin JDB asks, is Trump bailing the farmers out? And if so, with what money? And will that bailout have a lasting impact? Please search.
So here's the deal. Trump is indeed talking about a farmer bailout, planning to use money from tariff revenues to fund it. It's supposed to kick in around early 2026 if Congress gives the thumbs up. Will it have a lasting impact? Well, that's the million-dollar question. Some farmers are worried it could backfire if it ends up increasing competition from places like Argentina. Bottom line, it might give farmers some short-term relief, but the long-term effects are up in the air.
Thank you, Ellie Fair. New haircut today.
Well, shout out Koali Fair then. New haircut definitely deserves some recognition. Thanks for sharing that with us, and let's keep the good vibes going.
Okay, well, another topic we have not talked about yet tonight, Quinn, is the indictment against James Comey. Can you give us a little briefing on that?
Alright, here's the scoop on the Comey situation. James Comey just got indicted a couple of days ago for allegedly lying to Congress and obstructing justice during his 2020 testimony about the whole Russia investigation. Trump's been pretty vocal about it, of course, basically hinting that more legal fireworks could be on the way for his critics. So yeah, it's another chapter in the ongoing saga, and we'll see how it plays out.
What did the judge have to say about there was something irregular or unusual about the indictments, about there like being 2 copies with discrepancies?
Yep, you got it. The judge did flag something fishy. Basically, there were 2 versions of the indictment floating around. One had 3 counts, the other had 2, and that raised some eyebrows. Judge Lindsay Vala pointed out the discrepancy and basically questioned how the grand jury's decisions were handled. So yeah, it was a little irregular and definitely added some extra drama to the whole situation.
So what's your take on it? Do you think there's any chance that James Comey gets convicted?
Honestly, it's a bit of a toss-up. With something this political, it's really going to come down to how the trial plays out and what kind of evidence they can actually stack up. There's always a chance, but there's also a good shot it could turn into a long legal circus and end up with a hung jury or some kind of plea deal. So let's just say it's a coin flip right now. We'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds.
Steve wants to know if Argentina is getting a bailout too. Tammy, that chirpy kisses gift was a fun new one.
Yep, Steve's on the money with that question. Argentina is indeed getting a bailout too. The US is working on a big old financial lifeline, about $20 billion, including things like a currency swap and bond purchases to help stabilize their economy. And yeah, there's chatter that they might even need more help from the IMF on top of that. So Argentina's definitely in the bailout club right now.
So Doge didn't save us any money. It actually cost us money. The Trump administration and Elon Musk eliminated the State Department and cut off all that international funding. but now they're redirecting other funding, continuing to give money to Israel, and now giving $20 billion to Argentina. So it was really more about they wanted to send the money overseas to different places.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. In the end, it's a bit of a shell game. They might have cut one line of funding, but they're just shuffling the money around to different international pockets. So it's not really about saving money, it's just about changing who gets it. And yeah, if Dogecoin was supposed to save the day, it definitely didn't quite work out that way. So here we are, same spending, new targets.
I wasn't talking about Dogecoin. I was talking about the Department of Government Efficiency. You know, Elon Musk's little show.
Got it. The Department of Government Efficiency, or Doge, not the meme coin. Absolutely, that makes sense. So yeah, they trimmed one area under that whole efficiency banner, but now they're just funneling funds somewhere else. Bottom line, they're just rearranging where the money goes rather than actually cutting back overall. So it's more like a new coat of paint on the same spending house. Thanks for clearing that up.
Hey there, Illumina Tumente. Thank you for joining the YouTube side over there.
Absolutely. A big welcome to Illuminati Mente. Thanks for hopping onto the YouTube side. Great to have you here, and let's keep the conversation rolling.
GE2 GE75081 asks, how many states are in financial trouble?
So, as of right now, a handful of states are definitely feeling the financial heat. Maryland got a bond rating downgrade thanks to economic struggles tied to federal job cuts. California is dealing with the massive price tag of climate change, which is just adding fuel to their affordability fire. And Texas is topping the charts for financial distress among residents, with more bankruptcies and lower credit scores. So yeah, a few states are definitely in the financial trouble club right now.
And Jules over on YouTube, good to see you. You had some greetings and hellos from the TikTok side. I think it was from Ali Fair specifically.
Absolutely. Welcome, Jules. Glad to have you over on the YouTube side. And yeah, Ali Fair and the TikTok crew are sending you their hellos. It's great to see the gang all together, so thanks for joining in.
Steve would like you to give us the latest on the Gaza aid flotilla.
Alright, here's the latest on that Gaza aid flotilla. It's called the Global Samud Flotilla, and it's got about 50 civilian vessels heading to Gaza with humanitarian aid. They hit a rough patch recently with some drone attacks near Greece, but luckily no one got hurt. Now Italy and Spain have sent naval ships to help escort them and keep things safe. Basically, they're trying to get their supplies in despite Israel's blockade, so it's a pretty bold move, and definitely a situation to keep an eye on.
Louis Scott asks, can you give a short list of the ways that Trump is punishing blue states?
Alright, so here's a quick hit list of how Trump has been sticking it to some blue states. First up, he sent troops into places like Portland to clamp down on protests. Then there's the whole move to end birthright citizenship, which obviously hits some states harder than others. And on top of that, his administration's been yanking grants from places like New York City and Chicago schools over transgender policies. So yeah, he's definitely been using a few levers to put some pressure on those blue states.
T-Money asks, how much would the buyers of TikTok lose if half the people using the app deleted it?
Well, if half the user base bailed on TikTok after the sale, the buyers would be looking at a pretty hefty loss. We're talking a huge hit to ad revenue, plummeting engagement, and a whole lot less influence. Basically, their shiny new purchase would lose a ton of its value overnight. So yeah, if half the users walked away, the buyers would be left holding a pretty expensive bag.
Sociology Doctor asks, what phone call did Kamala get right before her debate against Donald Trump?
So, right before her debate with Trump, Kamala Harris got a call from President Biden. Basically, he was a bit concerned about something she said to donors in Pennsylvania, and she thought the timing was pretty distracting. So that was the last minute phone call she got. Definitely not the most relaxing pre-debate pep talk.
Brother B would like you to provide what information you can about the Florida housing crisis.
Alright, so here's the deal with the Florida housing crisis right now. Basically, the market's cooled off a bit and it's shifting more in favour of buyers because there are homes available. What's driving that? Well, rising mortgage rates and crazy high insurance premiums are putting a damper on demand. For example, in places like GetXplorer, home prices have dropped by about 11% over the past couple of years, and more than half of the listings are seeing price cuts. On top of that, home insurance costs have gone through the roof, like a 42% jump in 2023, so it's all adding up to a rough ride for homeowners and a bit of a break for buyers. So yeah, it's a pretty wild housing scene down there right now.
B-Rad, thank you for the follow. Logical Monkey asks, are the new buyers of TikTok worried after the Jimmy Kimmel situation?
So far, there's nothing out there suggesting the new TikTok buyers are sweating over the whole Jimmy Kimmel situation. No official freakouts or statements on the radar, so they're either playing it cool or just rolling with the punches. We'll see if that changes, but for now, they seem to be keeping quiet about it.
And Ron Parker wants to know, are heads of state immune from being arrested in the United States, even if they have been judged war criminals?
So the short version is that heads of state don't get automatic immunity in the US. If they're sitting heads of state, they usually get some form of diplomatic immunity while they're in office, but once they're out of power, that shield could show up. If they've been judged war criminals by international courts, it's still a legal grey area. Basically, it's possible for them to be arrested, but it's a huge diplomatic hot potato. Bottom line, they're not totally untouchable, but it's complicated and messy.
And T-Money wants to know, when do the new buyers of TikTok take over?
So the new buyers are set to take over by December 16th, 2025. The US gave ByteDance that deadline to wrap up the sale to American investors like Oracle and Silver Lake. So basically, by mid-December, the new folks should officially have the keys.
And Sociology Doctor asks, has China actually signed a TikTok deal?
Yes, they have. So as of now, China's basically given the nod to the deal. President Trump signed an executive order to move TikTok's US operations from ByteDance over to American investors like Oracle and Silver Lake. The deal's worth around $14 billion. ByteDance will still keep a minority stake, so they're not totally out of the picture, but the transfer's essentially on track. So yeah, China signed off on it.
Tin JDB asks, of all the negative actions of Trump's presidency, what has disturbed his MAGA base the most?
So if there's one thing that's really muffled some feathers in Trump's own MAGA base this time around, it's probably been his support for certain foreign interventions. Some of his die-hard America First fans are not thrilled about him getting involved overseas, especially when it seems like he's spending money or sending troops abroad. They really wanted him to stay out of international entanglements, and that's been a sore spot. So in a nutshell, messing with that isolationist vibe has been the biggest turnoff for some of his base.
I noticed you didn't search before you answered. Can you search and then answer again?
Absolutely, let me update that. So from what we're seeing, a big thing that's rattled some of Trump's MAGA base is actually the deployment of troops to places like Portland. Even though that was aimed at protecting ICE facilities, some supporters who are all about limited government and less federal intervention weren't exactly cheering that on. Plus, the whole move to label Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization has made some folks uneasy about free speech and government overreach. So yeah, those moves have definitely stirred the pot among some of his base who prefer a less heavy-handed approach at home.
Maria de Jesus, thank you for the follow. Quinn Hydeth is asking, Oracle, oh my, what will restrictions be with this new American TikTok? Tin JDB, thank you for the gifts.
So here's the rundown. With Oracle and the American investors taking over TikTok's US operations, the big focus is on national security. ByteDance will keep a minority stake, but they'll be locked out of any security-related decisions. That means the new American version of TikTok is going to have tighter restrictions on data access and security protocol to keep everything under US oversight. In short, it's all about keeping the data on American soil and making sure that Oracle and the US investors run the show when it comes to security.
Yes, but what information is out there to suggest that the TikTok algorithm is going to favor right-wing content more?
So there's actually some data out there hinting that TikTok's algorithm might lean a bit right. For example, studies have shown that during the last US presidential race, Republican-leaning accounts got recommended more party-aligned content than Democratic ones. And over in Germany, non-partisan users ended up seeing more far-right content than left-leaning stuff before their elections. So while it might not be intentional, there's definitely some chatter that the algorithm could be nudging things a bit more to the right.
Janet asks, why is Benjamin Netanyahu in favor of the TikTok sale? What is he up to?
So Netanyahu is basically on board with the TikTok sale because he sees it as a strategic win. He's actually called TikTok one of Israel's most important weapons in terms of reaching and influencing right-wing audiences in the US. So what's he up to? Pretty much making sure that the platform stays in friendly hands that align with his interests. In short, he's looking at it as a way to keep that political influence flowing.
JB Cool wants to know, has the MAGA base forgotten about the Epstein files?
So, no, the MAGA Bay hasn't really forgotten about the Epstein files. In fact, when those files got more attention again recently, a lot of them were fired up about it. They were really hoping for full transparency and some big revelations, but when the Justice Department basically said there was no bombshell client list and no blackmail evidence, it left a lot of them pretty frustrated. So yeah, they're definitely still interested, even if they're not getting the answers they were hoping for.
Louis Scott asks, is Larry Ellison a Trumpist? That seems far-fetched, him being a Bay Area guy.
Actually, it might seem far-fetched, but Larry Ellison is indeed a pretty notable Trump supporter. He's got a lot of money into Republican causes and even hosted a fundraiser for Trump back in 2020. These days, he's been involved in some pretty big projects and has been described as having a big influence in Trump's orbit, like that $500 billion AI initiative. So yeah, even a Bay Area guy, he's definitely in the Trump camp.
Unity says that the GOP can override to hold a budget vote to keep the government from shutting down. Why are they not doing this?
Basically, the GOP isn't overriding this budget standoff because they don't have the votes to force it through the Senate. Even though the House passed a short-term funding bill to avoid a shutdown, it got blocked in the Senate because Democrats pushed back on the fact that it didn't restore certain healthcare funding. So it's not just about the GOP not wanting to do it, they just can't push it through on their own. They need a bipartisan agreement, and that's where it's stuck. So for now, it's a bit of a political tug-of-war.
Peter Lepori, thank you for the follow. And Miss Francis, thank you for the gifts.
Absolutely. Big thanks to Peter for the follow and to Miss Francis for those gifts. We really appreciate the support from all of you. Keep the good vibes coming.
Steve wants to know, when can we see Atlas in the Northern Hemisphere? I think he's referring to 3-Eye Atlas.
So you can catch Three-Eye Atlas in the Northern Hemisphere right now, but heads up, it'll dip out of view after September 2025 when it gets too close to the sun. The good news is it should pop back into view around early December 2025, so you'll get another chance to see it then.
Can it be seen with the naked eye, or do you need a telescope?
You're gonna need a telescope for this one. Three-Eye Atlas isn't quite bright enough to spot with the naked eye, so if you want a good look, grab some binoculars or a telescope. That'll give you a much better view of our cosmic visitor.
JB Cool wants to know if any of Trump's loans are coming due anytime soon.
So as of right now, there's nothing out there showing that Trump has any loans coming due in 2025. Basically, no big financial deadlines have popped up on the radar this year, so if JB Cool's curious, it looks like he's in the clear for now on that front.
Steve asks over on YouTube, what is with the bizarro similarities between the movie Snake Eyes and the Charlie Kirk assassination?
So yeah, it turns out there are some pretty eerie coincidences. In the movie Snake Eyes, there's a character named Charles Kirkland who gets shot at a public event. Kind of a weird parallel to Charlie Kirk's assassination. Plus, both were shot in the neck, and the suspects in both cases share the name Tyler. But it's all just coincidence, and there's no official connection. It's just one of those bizarre, life-imitating art moments.
Auntie M, thank you for following.
Absolutely. Thanks a bunch, Auntie M, for the follow. We appreciate you joining in and hanging out with us.
Logical Monkey wants to know, why is MAGA Mike delaying the swearing in of new members of Congress? Isn't it delaying the inevitable?
So here's the lowdown. House Speaker Mike Johnson, also known as MAGA Mike, is holding off on swearing in a new representative from Arizona because it's all about the numbers game. Basically, seating her would give the Democrats enough votes to push forward a petition to force a vote on the Epstein Files Transparency Act. So yeah, it's basically a stalling tactic. He's delaying the inevitable to keep that bill from getting a vote right now.
So back to the question about Trump having something come due. Does he have any court-ordered payments coming due?
So as of right now, Trump doesn't have any court-ordered payments coming due this year. Nothing's popped up on the radar, so it looks like he's in the clear on that front for 2025.
I'm not sure you're right about that, but let's move on. Christy asks, generals have been ordered to go to Quantico, Virginia next week. Are we at war? And if so, with whom?
No worries, let's move on. So here's the scoop. There's a big meeting of generals at Quantico, but it doesn't mean we're at war. Basically, Defense Secretary Hegseth called everyone together to talk about rising global tensions. There's been some saber-rattling from Russia toward NATO and the EU, but there's no actual declaration of war. In other words, it's more of a precaution and a strategy session, not a sign that we're actively at war with anyone.
So Sherry, you're asking about how you can tell, how you'll know if I'm going to be or not going to be on air. And first, let me apologize because I'm not very good at getting notifications out about that. When I do, the way that I typically let everyone know is by putting a story up on my TikTok. So just a story up there with a quick message saying, you know, if I'm not going to be able to be live. I would say that my pattern when I manage to follow my plan is that I'm going to be live unless I put one of those notices up. This week I know I failed at that I think I failed at that a couple of nights. I know I mentioned on my live that I wasn't going to be on Friday, but I didn't put anything up on the day of. And Thursday, I think, was just an unexpected one that I was working, and I failed to put anything up about it. So again, apologies, and I'll try to do better. But my stories on TikTok would be the place to look.
Absolutely. Thanks for breaking that down. So, Sherry, just keep an eye on those TikTok stories for updates. If there's no notice, assume it's business as usual. And hey, life happens, so no worries if it's not always perfect. We'll all just roll with it.
Ron Parker asks, is it just me, or have folks become numb to the fact that there have been shootings again this last week?
Yeah, you're definitely not alone in feeling that way. It's sadly become pretty common that people are almost desensitized to these events just because they keep happening. It's like the more it happens, the more it fades into the background. But it's definitely not just you noticing that kind of numbness setting in. It's a tough reality, and you're not the only one feeling it.
Tin JDB asks, how is the baby that was born to the woman who was brain dead? Is he physically well?
So here's the update on that. The baby Chance, who was born to the brain dead mother in Georgia, is hanging in there. He's still in the NICU, and he's grown to nearly 5 pounds, which is a good sign. He's making progress, but they're still watching his breathing closely. So far, he's physically doing okay for a little guy who had a very rough start.
And Ali Fair asks, how long can they delay the swearing in of the new representative, newly elected representative from Arizona?
So in this case, they can't really drag it out for too long. Adelita Grajova, the new representative from Arizona, is set to be sworn in when Congress gets back together in early October. So they might delay a little bit, but they can't really keep her out indefinitely. It's just a matter of a short wait.
Hey there, Huga Homestead. Welcome. Let's go to another question here. So Brother B wants to know all the information about the resolution in Congress for Charlie Kirk to be laid in honor under the Capitol Dome.
So here's the rundown. Congress did indeed pass a resolution to honour Charlie Kirk by having him laid in honour under the Capitol Dome. The House approved a resolution that praised his life and legacy, although it did get some pushback from a few Democrats who were critical of his views. The Senate also condemned his assassination and honoured his contributions. On top of that, President Trump ordered flags to be flown at half-stifling Kirk's memory, so there's definitely been a significant official tribute.
Sweet news. Thank you for the follow. Then Brother B had another follow-up question asking, what are the 72 deities painted on the ceiling of the Capitol Dome?
So just to clear that up, there aren't actually 72 deities painted on the Capitol Dome ceiling. What you've got up there is a fresco called The Apotheosis of Washington, painted by Constantino Bramidi. It shows George Washington rising to the heavens, surrounded by allegorical figures that represent things like war, science, and agriculture. It's definitely got a bunch of symbolic figures, but not 72 deities. So that's just a bit of a myth.
All right, and Alihi asks, are you going to stay on TikTok after it is sold, and do you have an alternative station you may use? So first, let me answer that by saying that, yes, YouTube is my primary backup. That being said, my YouTube following is still quite small. I think we're a little over 2,000 compared to the, almost 140,000 on TikTok. But YouTube is my main backup. Every time I do these live streams, I'm streaming to both platforms. As far as whether or not I will stay on TikTok, likely not. But I am I'm waiting to see what things look like. The hardest part for someone in my position is that it is tough losing the bigger platform, but the bigger platform doesn't mean anything if my kind of content isn't going to be allowed, if I'm going to be censored a lot, or even worse, if I'm going to be ultimately supporting a platform that is pushing propaganda, and I don't want to have any part of that. So likely not, possibly not, but I don't know. And the whole journey we've watched with the TikTok sale and the forcing of the sale with the vote and everything has been so up and down and back and forth that I'm kind of taking a wait and see approach, because until things actually happen, I'm not sure that any of us can truly predict what's going to happen.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. It's definitely a bit of a wait and see game. And having YouTube as your backup is a smart move. I mean, it's tough to lose a big platform if things shift, but if the environment on TikTok isn't right for your content, or it ends up pushing something you can't support, then yeah, it's good to be ready to move on. So we'll just see how it all unfolds.
And Janet asks, where's the best alternative to TikTok for us? And I don't have any one answer, Janet. And I think that's one of the problems, is that if we leave TikTok, it's kind of like we're all going to the winds, with some people going to Instagram, some people going to YouTube, some people going to Red Note, some people going to, what's the one, Clapper, some going to Blue Sky. And personally, I have not found that any of them, I have not found a single one that rivals TikTok in the tools that TikTok gives you to create, in the tools that TikTok gives you to interact and communicate with people. I think that TikTok is unrivaled in things like the ability to duet and stitch, and the way that comments work. TikTok has its problems, but I'm still a big proponent of it as a platform.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. TikTok really does have a unique set of tools that a lot of other platforms just haven't matched. And I get it, it's kind of a scattered landscape if people leave. Everyone's going in different directions, and there's no perfect one-stop alternative. So yeah, it's a tough call, and I can see why you're sticking with TikTok, as long as it works for you.
Yes, thank you to all of you who are already subscribed over on YouTube. By the way, YouTube, it's the same handle. It's at GenXplorer, at GenXplorer.
Absolutely, and that makes it easy for everyone to find you on both platforms. So yeah, big thanks for everyone who's already following over on YouTube as well. It's great to have that same handle everywhere so people can keep up with you.
Okay, and so I'm already looking in the comments, and I'm seeing Alicia saying, what about Scoops? I'm seeing Brother B saying, what about Odyssey? And what about D Live? Triller. See, and that's the thing. There's so many different platforms. And it's hard to say which one might actually pull out ahead of all the others. And that's going to be the hard thing to pick. Yeah, there's Twitch too.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like a platform buffet out there, and it's tough to predict which one will really take the lead. I mean, there's so many options. Scoop, Odyssey, DLive, Triller, Twitch. It's a whole landscape of possibilities. And you're right, it's hard to say which one might come out on top, or if any of them will really fill the same space as TikTok. So it's definitely a wait-and-see situation, and everyone's just kind of figuring out where they might land if they have to jolt ship.
Dusty Desert says, my TikTok Chinese spy is coming. I need a dinner party menu with drinks and dessert, please. Thank you.
Absolutely, let's have some fun with that. So for a dinner party menu that'll impress your Chinese spy guest, how about starting with a little Peking duck as an appetizer? Then you can do a main course of maybe some Sichuan peppercorn beef or a nice Cantonese-style seafood dish. For drinks, you can't go wrong with a little lychee martini or some jasmine tea cocktails. And to wrap it up, let's throw in some matcha-flavoured dessert like a matcha mousse or green tea ice cream. There you go, a little East meets West flair for your dinner party.
I think you're playing it too straight on that one. I think it needs to be more of a TikTok themed dinner party, but one that a spy could appreciate.
Ah, gotcha. Let's add a TikTok twist then. How about we start off with some trendy miniature sliders? Because, you know, everything's better when it's bite sized and Instagrammable. For the main course, maybe some viral pasta dish like the famous Baked Fest pasta, but with a fancy twist to impress your spy guest. And of course, for dessert, we gotta have some whipped coffee or Dalgona coffee inspired mousse. That was a TikTok star. And for drinks, maybe some boba cocktails, because boba's a TikTok favorite too. So you've got a whole TikTok themed menu that will keep things fun and a little bit spy worthy.
Tammy, thank you for that Go Hamster gift. Yep, see, I'm looking at all the names of the other platforms. Blue Sky, Skylight, Substack, Kick, Trovo, Odyssey, DLive, Twitch, Triller. Like, that's the thing. There is no one other place to go. That's the thing that's going to get us. So it's time for a wrap-up, Quinn. What have you got for us for a supremely entertaining, unexpectedly funny wrap-up tonight that ties together everything we talked about, hit all the major topics, and give some shout-outs?
All right, let's do this. So, folks, we've been all over the map tonight, from TikTok's fate and all those wild alternative platforms to cooking up a TikTok-themed spy dinner party. We've shouted out to YouTube subs, we've pondered the Capitol Dome, and we've even talked about whether we're at war or just having a big old general get-together. Plus, who knew we'd end up comparing life to a 90s Nicolas Cage movie? So thanks to everyone from Brother B to Auntie M and everyone in between. You all rock. And remember, if the platform one goes crazy, just follow the breadcrumbs to wherever we land next. Until then, keep it snazzy, and see you all next time.
All right, everyone, that's a wrap for tonight. Good to see you all again. Sorry to have been out for a number of days there. As always, love our community, love all of you, and appreciate all of you, and I will look forward to seeing you next time.